So plants are fundamentally different than most animals because plants exhibit indeterminate growth. Plants continue to grow throughout their entire lives, responding to changing environmental conditions. When I was born, my genes had pretty much already determined that I was going to be just shy of 6 feet tall, despite what my driver's license says. Humans have determinate growth. There are a handful of animals that do grow continually throughout their lives. Do you know who? Lobsters. So lobsters grow indeterminately, continually getting larger and larger each passing year. Just ask Louie. This lobster weighed 22 pounds and was thought to be 132 years old. I sure hope he didn't end up on somebody's dinner plate. When you live to be 132, I feel like you should go out how you want to go out. Crocodilians. This is Henry, an 18-foot long crocodile who just turned 120 years old and still growing. Plants are capable of indeterminate growth because they possess apical meristems at the shoots as well as the root tips, as well as those axillary buds that are nestled in there at the nodes. These meristems house the plant stem cells, perpetually undifferentiated cells that can be coaxed into growing into stem or root or leaf. Animals also possess stem cells. Embryonic stem cells are pluripotent. That means they can grow into any cell type the animal requires during development. So to reiterate, apical meristems are located at the tips of the roots and the shoots, and the axillary buds are at the stem nodes. The elongation of the plant itself as it grows taller or its lateral stems grow wider, they extend. This is referred to as primary growth. Primary growth is shown here at the apical bud, whereas the thickening of the plant, like the annual rings laid down by a baobab, for example, is referred to as secondary growth. So an observant biologist can look at a twig and can determine the amount of primary growth, both this year as well as in years past. So you're looking for what are called bud scars. So from this bud scar to the apical bud, this is this stem's primary growth this growing season. And then from this bud scar to the last bud scar is from the last growing season. And then the growing season from 2 years ago. You get the idea. But the annual growth is marked by these bud scars. Lateral meristems are going to allow perennial plants like trees and shrubs to gradually thicken during secondary growth. So the vascular cambium adds layers of vascular tissue called secondary xylem. Recall the xylem, that's the specialized tissue that carries water, as well as secondary phloem, which carries the nutrients, the glucose created in the leaves. The cork cambium replaces the epidermis with periderm, with that thick, tough protective coating that we call bark that makes trees fire resistant. Note that that living phloem is very much alive and it can be tapped into, as is the case with these maple trees, to make that famous and oh so sweet Vermont maple syrup. Or this is a natural source of rubber for those latex gloves that we use in lab. These are rubber trees which are tapped in tropical plantations Notice how the arborists don't cut all the way around the tree because ringing a tree will completely kill it, as there's no way for the tree to transport the glucose from the leaves down to the respiring roots. So do a tree a favor and don't carve your initials into its living phloem.